Hey guys, Suge and Allen here.
Today we are at Hearst Castle for the upstairs suites tour.
With his girlfriend and his mistress, the silent film star Marion Davies. As I said along the way, I'll be telling you about the architectural as well as the social history of Hilltop. Also a little bit about Mr. Hearst's amazing architect. Anybody know her name?
Julia Morgan.
Roberts? No.
Morgan.
Morgan. Amazing woman in her own right. She really does steal the show up here. If you have any questions along the way, I'll be happy to answer them for you. Let me ask you a question. How was that bus ride up? Not bad, huh? Not bad. But you know what? You've actually arrived at the bottom of the hill here. Believe it or not, you spent 20 minutes coming up the hill only to arrive at the bottom of the hill. What do I mean by that? Well, the big house Casa Grande, as you can see, is at the top of the hill. This is the hill. We have to do a bit of climbing. We're going almost to the very top of the North Tower. This is the most climbing intensive tour. I hope you brought your mountain hiking boots. Well, anyways, I say my name is Richard. This is the Upstairs Suites tour. Let's begin. And now construction up here starts in early 1920, shortly after World War I, and they actually built for 27 years straight. But you know what? After 27 years, they did not finish building Hearst Castle. That's right. Despite all the beauty and grandeur you will see on this tour, please remember that Hearst Castle is really an incomplete architectural project, a moment frozen in time. Even more, it's probably been changed at least more than once or at least twice, including this iconic pool in front of us here. It is the Neptune pool. What we're looking at here thematically, these are the Roman ruins on the outskirts of Hearst's 16th century Mediterranean hilltop village. Now, if you look at Miss Morgan's original plans in 1920, there are Roman ruins here. There's a temple, but there is no pool, there are no colonnades, there's no alcove. What's supposed to be here, besides the temple, is a beautiful landscape rose garden with a quatrefoil, a foliage clover pool at the base of the temple, in front of the temple here. We're heading up the hilltop to the actual village. Yep. Yep. Well, heading upstairs. Follow me. Watch your step as we make the climb. Thank you.
All right, we are moving along. What you guys think of that pool?
Look like a castle. Yes, it does look like a church. Nope, it's simply a very large party house, basically. Entertainment home designed for the comfort and enjoyment of Hearst guests. So we're heading this way. Yeah. Behind me here we have the Sarm show, the big house Casa Grande. It's pretty much finished by 1930. Little door, man. Look at that, yeah, look at this. Yeah, good, step up. Pull down, pull and push. There you go. Off in the open castle door,
It won't go away. I've got that feeling rushing through my body. I know that.
Come on in, everybody. So the year is 1926. The three cottages are in, the landscape is going in, and Casa Grande is now 2 floors. Originally, this building is only supposed to be 2 floors. This is supposed to be only a guest house with 8 guest bedrooms and the VIP bedroom on the hilltop. And this is the VIP bedroom. It's called the Doge Suite or the Venetian Suite. As I said, it's 1926. There's nothing above us. And if you were a VIP, a president, a movie mogul, a titan of industry, you would have stayed here. President Coover and his wife stayed here. President Calvin Coolidge and his wife stayed here. P.G. Wodehouse, famous British humorist, and his wife stayed here as well. Basically reserved for the VIP guests. Now it's 1926. Fewer than 1% of Americans have indoor plumbing. You come up here, you have indoor hot and cold running water, showers, And they're all behind your own private suite here. Every suite on the hilltop, every bedroom is its own private bathroom with indoor hot and cold running water, electricity, the best tech money can buy. This is a time when fewer than 1% of Americans have indoor plumbing and electricity. You come up here, remember, it's 26, we're still 11 years before Highway 1 goes in. The best tech money can buy. Let's go inside the sitting room, check it out. Sitting room here in the Doge Suite. I draw your attention to the beautiful view of the Santa Lucia Mountains. Off to the east there, average elevation is about 3,000 feet. They run north of Monterey, about 100 miles, and southwest of San Luis Obispo, about 45 miles. You can actually see the Hearst tennis courts down there. We'll see them a bit later on. Beyond the tennis courts, Hearst has the world's biggest private zoo, 95 species of animal, 30% of which are carnivores. Beside that, he has a massive dog breeding operation. Guests who actually stayed in this suite often reported hearing African lions roaring in the middle of the night. Were they drunk? Were they dreaming? Well, probably both. But yes, there are real African lions out there. So they were not drunk, or they were probably drunk. As far as the interior decorating style, very popular in the late 19th century, early 20th century, America's Gilded Age. Goes by many different names, definitions. Some call it the eclectic style, some call it the Second Empire style, some even call it the academic style. Well, what does that all mean? It basically means if you're a rich guy like Hearst, you'll decorate a suite or a castle or a mansion like this with a variety of very expensive and unique art objects from all over the world in different countries. Starting with its original 18th century Italian ceiling. We don't know who the artists were, but we do know it's called the Annunciation of the Angels to the Shepherds. Anybody know who Stanford White was? Stanford White, the premier architect in the Gilded Age, the who's who on Fifth Avenue, the Morgans, the Fricks, the Ulriches, the Fishes, the Astors and Vanderbilts. They hired Stanford White. Now he's a bit of a pervert. He was actually shot dead by a jealous husband in 1906, 3 bullets to the head. And Hearst was a big fan of Stanford White, and he bought this from Stanford White's residence in Gramercy Park in New York City. Check it out, Stanford White. You watch anybody watching the Gilded Age on HBO? No? Okay, well, forget that. Anyway, we jump over to this frosted perfume decanter. It's the Art Deco period, 1922, made by a famous French glassmaker, René Lalique. Flanking it, we have 2 bronze bathing nymphs. They're 1795, they're Napoleonic. They have been turned into lamps. And look, in front of us here on the floor, an original hand-woven, all the carpets up here are hand-woven, basically Persian. Mid-19th century, original Louis XIV chairs, 16th century Italian majolica, 15th century carved stone Italian mantelpiece, flanked by 2 16th century carved walnuts. Yeah, come on in. This is the South Doge's suite, pretty much the same as the North one. Same ceiling, different bed. This bed is actually not Florentine, it's actually from Venice. 16th century silk tapestry on the wall here. Now, as a guest of Mr. Hearst's back on the day, please remember when you arrive, Hearst actually has 3 rules. Number 1, no off-color language, no bad, dirty jokes, I guess, right? Number 2, no excessive drinking. Hearst actually did drink, contrary to popular belief. He was not a teetotaler. He likes German-like draft beer. He likes Burgundy wine for dinner. He just was against excessive drinking. And boy, if you got drunk up here, or you got funny, as they said, the train in San Luis Obispo is waiting for you, no questions asked. Also, number 3, if you're a dating couple, if you're girlfriend and boyfriend, you're not married yet, you cannot share the same room. Right? Boyfriends will have to stay in the cottages, while girlfriends will stay in one of the original 8 guest bedrooms. I know, hypocrisy abounds. Hearst is up here with his mistress. Well, guess what? It's his home, it's his castle. You don't like it, there's always the train in San Luis Obispo, right?
It is here to stay. It's like you're my personal.
Come on up, everybody. We're now on the 2nd floor. Remember, it's 1926. There's nothing above us. The Doge Suite, the end of the hall through that wall there. The Doge Suite is kind of like a mezzanine, the 2nd and 1st floor. So these are the original 8 guest bedrooms. This is where very famous Hollywood actresses would have stayed. Let me throw some names at you. Greta Garbo, Marlene Dietrich, Gloria Swanson, Sunset Boulevard, Carol Lombard, Clark Gable's 3rd wife, Hedy Lamarr. You know Hedy Lamarr? She created the Wi-Fi signal we're all using today. She would have stayed here as well. Now, this is the south side of the castle. This is the storm side. All storms will hit the castle from the south side. And notice we have this high-tech leakage system here. They're called towels, right? That's because the state cannot change or add anything. That includes caulking and weather stripping. Sorry, it's not period original. You can't add it. So when the storms hit the side of the castle, the south side, originally there were no windows here. The actresses absolutely froze in these bedrooms. Dear God, Mr. Hearst put up some actually shutters. He puts up shutters. You can see the original brackets. The wind still blows through them. He puts up glass, and the state updates plexiglass. You can feel the floor. The floor is cantilevered. That's because when there was nothing here, this was for rain runoff. We'll go this way. Watch your step here as we cross the threshold. Thanks.
Oh, look at that. No, that's a view.
Yeah, his guests definitely had a good view.
Please don't get on, you never get off. Original Otis elevator started on 42nd Street, just around the corner from the iconic New York City Library.
How you doing?
It's called the confessional because it's made from an original 16th century Italian confessional box. Now, Hearst was 6'3", 250 pounds. He squeezed in and he squeezed off. Look at that. You can actually just make way. You can come and have a closer look at it. This old school elevator. Now notice how this elevator is parked in the northwest stairwell here. This stairwell at one time looked like that one. So why does Hearst add an elevator? Well, in 1928 he says, Miss Morgan, please add a third floor, a private third floor for myself and Marion Davies. So you think Hearst and Marion are walking up 3 flights of stairs? I don't think so. Miss Morgan, park an elevator shaft in the northwest stairwell. That's exactly what she does. If you could come this way, please. Now you can see the stairwells are all unfinished. Even when Hearst was here in residence, what we do know of the historical information, they had beautiful red 16th century Italian velvet curtains right here. So they pull these curtains to hide all this raw masonry covering each doorway here. So they had ways to hide it too. We'll go this way, please.
That's a narrow elevator.
The other one is upstairs, the third floor at Hearst private study. Now, as I said, Hearst was considered to be the world's #1 collector. Evidence of his collecting is up here on these upper shelves. We have Greek vases. They're all period original. This is about 150 up here. Originally, Hearst owns about 450. The world's premier collection of Greek vases. With time and money, have reduced them down to about 150, and they're all on display. You may wonder how they are held up on a shelf. Well, they're held on by something called earthquake glass. The building may fall down, but those vases aren't going anywhere. The oldest one is over here in the corner. The amphora, it dates back to 750 BC Greece. This is called the bearing amphora. Above, original 16th century Spanish pine ceiling, while down below, the largest hand-woven Persian carpet on the hilltop, 40 feet by 25 feet. We have about 3,000 books here. Now, these are not part of the rare manuscript collection, but some very rare printed first editions indeed. This is basically that Hearst private library. He loves to travel, lots of travel books. He's a movie producer, a lot of costume books, a lot of Shakespeare, a lot of language books. He speaks French and German.
Personal Illuminati. I know that some might.
Private floor of Hearst and Marion Davies. This is the only suite on this floor. We'll head first of all into Hearst's bedroom. His bathroom's on the right, left. Closet on the right. It's all period original. No IKEA, no Home Depot. Maybe some Target. No, it's all period original. Yep. Yeah, push on in. We'll head into Mr. Hearst's bedroom. We'll continue our tour from that point.
Look at that bathroom.
Like walking happens.
Yeah, it sure is.
Basically a mile and a half archway, which is actually crawling with vines, grapevines and stuff out there. There's kind of like a bridle path kind of So we're now on the third floor. Remember, this is the private floor of Hearst and Marion Davies. This is the only suite on this floor. Notice we have a central sitting room flanked by 2 bedrooms. That's Marion's bedroom down there, and this is Hearst's bedroom. This whole suite, which is on the Pacific side of the castle, if you look out the window, unfortunately you can't. The Pacific is out there to the west, and that is south. This whole suite is named after this ceiling. It's the oldest ceiling on the hilltop. It's called the Gothic Ceiling. It's Spain, circa 15th and 16th century. At one time, this ceiling was flat. Miss Morgan and her carpenters have cantilevered it up to create more headroom. Contains both Christian iconography. You'll see these Christian saints and martyrs in these recessed coffers or frames. Warriors on the south wall, more nuns, saints and martyrs on the east wall, and perhaps Jesus and his disciples above us here.
That is Hearst's mother. And those are Hearst's father. You can see that with the glare.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about it. The ghosts will get you. We'll go this way, please. Thank you very much. No, she had a beautiful Galatian stay just east of San Francisco.
It's like a modern bathroom. Like a tub in there.
She died in 1990.
I can't squeeze my screen out.
Now, as I said, Marion Davies was a huge star in the silent era. She makes a transition into the talkies. She'll make a total of about 60 movies in her lifetime. And when she's finished making a movie, she brings all her Hollywood buddies up the coast here, and they will mingle with Mr. Hearst crowd. And when Marion is up here, her job is as a hostess of the castle. Her job is to make sure you as guests are getting everything you need and everything's going accordingly. And when the party's over, this is where she would have laid her head. There you go, the entry point for the Hearst Castle elevator. Yep, he owned all of them. Yep, here's the egress point for the Hearst elevator. Yeah, we're going to go that way, but this is how Hearst and Marion would have come and gone from private. Yeah, that's how they would have come and gone. Red velvet. Yep, red velvet, yep. And we'll go into Hearst private study. So he obviously got it here with these beautiful 16th century French clerestory windows. Hard to believe that this whole floor was not part of the original plan in 1920, but as I said, when Hearst separates from his wife and he's moved to his film company west of Hollywood, he wants a private third floor for himself and his mistress, the silent film star Marion Davies. Miss Morgan starts building the bedrooms part first, the Gothic Suite first, and they had no plans for building the study, but sometime in early 30, Miss Morgan comes over here and says, you know, Mr. Hearst, you've got everything up here but your own private man cave. Why don't you let me build you something? And you know what? Hearst freaked out. He said, oh, it'll cost too much money. This from the guy who has no off switch when it comes to spending. In fact, there's a very famous quote. One of Hearst's executives said, you know what? Hearst Corporation is very, very profitable. The only problem is William Randolph Hearst is the only guy I know who can't live on $10 million a year. Anyway, Hearst does greenlight this, and Miss Morgan builds it between 32 and 35. When she's finished, she calls it the Gothic Study, a Gothic Suite, Gothic Study. Characteristic of the Gothic period, Europe, 13th, 14th century, are these pointed Gothic arches. They're called ogee arches. Notice how they're shaped like praying hands. We also have these arches above these 16th century French clerestory windows above the bookcases. And notice how the arches recede all the way down to the eastern end of the castle. We have an anteroom back there. It was never a bedroom. We're not really sure what it was used for, but one of my favorite rooms on the hilltop. Look at the view. Beautiful 15th century Spanish Gothic window frames there. Just pause here for a second, Lutz. So for all those who are into concrete, this is Miss Morgan right here. Her specialty is reinforced concrete. When I mean reinforced concrete, inside the concrete are embedded steel bars called rebar. This is her specialty. Now, what's interesting about this rebar is it's original rebar, because original rebar was square. Now you can only buy round. I know there's some contractors in the crowd, I'm sure they'll like that very much. Architects do like it. We're heading up. And we're making crossing the threshold lift up, step up, yep. And you can sit on the bench, no problem. As we cross the threshold, please step up. Thank you very much. So we're now on we're down the 4th floor. Nothing above us but blue sky. This suite is called the Celestial Suite. Celestial meaning close to heaven or heavenly. If you look at that window, that's certainly a heavenly view. Wow, look at that. Notice the suite design, essential. You can sit on the cement steps if you want. Yeah. Or lean back. We're now on the Celestial Suite. Notice the suite design, essential sitting room flanked by 2 bedrooms. This suite design is consistent throughout the hilltop, very popular in the late 19th century, early 20th century. That is the South Celestial Suite. We'll check out the North Celestial Suite in just a few minutes. I love this piece. So we're heading into the North Celestial Suite. Straight down the hall and hang left. It's a tight squeeze, but we'll all make it. These are guests. I'll tell you some people who have This is basically guests, yep. Hearst and Marion are always on their private floor. Everywhere else is guests.
The doorways are so narrow through the whole
God,
castle.
Yeah, Hearst was massive. You have to go side.
You-
Well, that's the way they got them. Like they originally got them in size, right? So I guess it's period original, as I say. So congratulations, we're now at the high point of this tour. We're, as you know, Hearst Castle is 2 towers or 2 steeples. We're almost at the very top of the North Tower. This is definitely the high point of the tour. Everything after this is downhill. I hope literally, not figuratively, right? So anyway, as what I say for this North Celestial Suite is exactly the same in the South Celestial Suite. Both suites have the same 12th century inspired ceiling with a 22 karat gold leaf, while above this ceiling, as well as in the South Tower, there's a 2,500 gallon water tank. So 2 tanks, that's 5,000 gallons, while above each water tank there are 18 bells for a total of 36 carillon bells. The average weight of 1 bell is 1,000 pounds. Man, that's a lot of weight. And we're going this way, thank you, follow me.
Did you ever find any secret rooms?
Any
tunnels?
I can't tell you. Give me $25, I can tell you. There's actually nothing up here. What you see is what you get, literally, quite literally. When I was hired in 2020, literally the next day the castle closed for 2 years. So I was up here almost by myself for 2 years.
Really?
I was up and close and personal with literally everything. And
Same
trust
again.
me, there are no private, there are no revolving fireplaces, no private secret areas, grottos, nothing. What you see is basically what you get. Yeah.
So you were allowed to go wherever you wanted?
Yeah, I was up here researching. Right. I was considered to be essential. Oh God, who knows, right? Yeah.
See any ghosts?
I haven't personally, but there is very active activity, especially on the 3rd floor in Hearst Suite. I've never seen anything, but people who I do know up here who are non-believers are suddenly believers, right?
Wow.
Seriously. So we're now back on the 2nd floor. Below us is our first suite, the Doge Suite. We're literally standing on that beautiful ceiling of the Annunciation of the Angels to the Shepherds. Well, Hearst's private study is directly above us. His boardroom table is right about there. Now, the year is 1935. Hearst and Marion have been here. Actually, they're starting to live here permanently. And 2 years later, Hearst actually gets a call from New York City. It's the banks. He's upstairs working. The banks want their money back because Mr. Hearst, your profligate spending has finally got you into deep, deep trouble. Mr. Hearst, you have to come back to New York City. He literally drops everything, hops the next train with Marion to New York City. The New York City bankers sit him down and say, Mr. Hearst, you owe us, you may want to sit down for this, and our money, $1.5 billion. Oh, it's 1937. It's the height of the Depression. Oh, things are only getting worse. So the banks say, Mr. Hearst, we're taking control of your corporation. There will be a board of directors. You have editorial control over your newspapers, but as far as you and Hearst Corporation, that's it. So, but they try to save Hearst Corporation, so what do? They try to sell off all his artwork and his real estate, but you know what? It's a depression. Nobody's buying anything. So it looks as though on the eve of World War II, that's it for William Randolph Hearst and Hearst Corporation, but you know what? This is essentially a Hollywood story. First twist, Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. America enters World War II. And upon entry into that conflagration, the American government pumps millions of dollars of advertising propaganda into the U.S. media system, and whose failing media corporation is ideally situated to suck up all that propaganda? Hearst Corporation. Now, World War II does not save Hearst Corporation. It just puts it back on the rails to solvency. So much so that when Hearst dies in 1951, Hearst Corporation is back on top. It's the world's biggest private media corporation, and when he dies, it's worth $3.5 billion in our money. And guess who gets it? The wife or the mistress. It's a Hollywood story.
The mistress.
Ah, it's a Hollywood story. Mistress. Yes. Mary Davies
Well,
gets
that's it.
everything. The homewrecker, the mistress. So Scarlett later, she gets the whole tamale, but wait for it. Next twist, she doesn't want it. She sells it back to Mrs. Hearst, $3.5 billion for a buck.
Yeah.
For a buck.
Wow.
Yes, for a buck.
That's good for
Why? Well, there you go. You knew the buck answer.
She didn't need it. She didn't need the
Well,
money. And she
number one,
wanted to
she's the
prove
richest
she
woman in
wasn't
Hollywood.
greedy.
Probably one of the richest women in America because despite her ditzy blonde persona on screen, she's actually a very savvy, very smart businesswoman. Number two, she doesn't want to spend the rest of her life litigating in court over who owns this stupid corporation. She doesn't need this hassle. And also, we do know from her biography, she wanted to make a statement of love. She said, you know what? In 1915, I was 18 and I was a dancer on 42nd Street, an original Ziegfeld Folly girl. And you know what? Part of the game was to look for the sugar daddy in the audience. You know, the Morgans, the Fricks, the Hearsts. And Marion says, oh my God, in 1916, I'm looking down in the audience, and who's in the second row? 2 seats, one for himself, one for his hat. Looking up at me, it's William Randolph Hearst. Now, Marion said, was it love at first sight? She said, I don't know, but after 30 years of living with the old guy, I truly did love him. So, Mrs. Hearst, this is not about money, it's about love. There you go, that's it. Now, today, Hearst Corporation is still the world's biggest private media corporation. Today, as of this tour, it's worth probably $22 billion, while the Hearst family is the 12th richest family in America. The richest family is, not me,
Probably the Waltons.
Walmart's, the Waltons of Walmart, yes. We're heading out. We'll go this way.
All right, we are back outside. What'd you guys think so far? Have you done this tour? If you have, put it in the comments below. Tell us what you thought about it.
The building to the northeast. But 19 to 28, both wings are about 18,000 square feet. And both wings, as you can see, are unfinished when Hearst and the money leave in 47. If you go through this servant entrance right here, or a staff entrance, service door, this is Hearst's 5-star hotel kitchen, while above about 12 staff bedrooms. But as you can see, it's this whole exterior, this whole facade is missing its beautiful limestone, the block, antique corners. We do believe all this ornamentation would have flowed over to the guest wing here, the staff wing here. But as you can see, moment throws it in time. We'll head this way, please. Watch your step.
Some might say that I am just a bad girl, but if you treat me right, I will be the best girl in this whole world. No, I'm not gonna bite. I got my hands on your body.
A building right here. He wants to connect the south staff wing to the north guest wing just through the leaves here. He wants to enclose the whole east terrace. He wants to put a building here, 50,000 square foot grand ballroom. He wants it to be the grandest room in North America. 50,000 square feet, topped by a green crystal Tiffany dome. I've seen the plans, but obviously it never gets off a piece of paper because it's 1933, the depression is heating up, money's becoming tight, and it just didn't happen. Yeah, amazing, huh? And see the 4-leaf clovers? That was our first suite. That was the Doge Suite, with the white columns, the 4-leaf clovers, and the 3 Gothic windows at the very top. That leads into Hearst Private Study. And notice just above the 4-leaf clovers, 2 little square windows. And that's where I brought the Hearst story to an end. So we were on the eastern side of the castle for about the last 20 minutes there. We'll go this way. So tennis was the pickleball of the 1920s. It was all the rage among the Hollywood stars and producers. Hearst would actually invite the best tennis pros in the world up here to teach his guests, and on Saturdays they had their weekly tennis tournament. Remember, these courts are ready by about 1928. They're under 1K Hollywood movie lights, about 9 years before Highway 1 goes in. We're heading this way, please. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and your patronage. On behalf of Gothic Hearst, hope you have a safe and wonderful rest of your day, wherever your next castle may be. Next stop is the bus.
All right, guys, what'd you think? That is the end of the suites tour.
Yeah, upstairs suite.
Upstairs suites. Ain't no downstairs suites.
I know.
So yeah, please make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, put some comments below.
Yes.
Those really help out the channel.
And that's it for us,
All right.
guys.
So on to our next adventure.
Bye.